Hello again, everyone. As you can see in my display name, I'm Farah from Farah Law School, and I'm sharing an introduction to the Legalese in Article 8 to 14 in the 1979 Moon Agreement. And because it's an introduction, it should be not that complicated, hopefully. All right, so everyone, to make my delivery faster and easier to understand, these are a short mention list of international space law instruments I use today. You can screenshot it if you want to know the full names of these instruments. So for example, if I refer to this um, agreement, I will call it as Moon Agreement. Okay, next. All right, so this provision, Article 8, discusses astronaut and space object activities on the moon. The activities refer to exploration and use of the moon anywhere, including land, launch, place, and move their personal and space objects. Then you can see these are the space objects, space vehicles, equipment, facilities, stations, and installations. Since this and the next provision have more common or daily vocabulary inside, so I will highlight only some phrases that I think it's essential. So here, state parties. State parties means a state that consents to be bound to the agreement through ratification and accessions. Both are expressions to be bound, following with states' internal processes and depository to the Secretary General of the United Nations. But ratification is for states that participate while negotiating in the agreement, and accession is for states that want to be bound after the agreement enters into force. And about signatory states that are not included as state parties but as participants. It's based on Article 12, Paragraph 1, Clause A of the Vienna Convention, states that signatory states, a signature can be consent to be bound if the treaty provides that signature shall have that effect. Even a signature shows acceptance or approval. In this case, the Moon Agreement excludes signatory states, as in Article 19, paragraphs 2 to 4 mention that the agreement shall enter into force after the 30th day of the date of deposit of ratification or accession instruments. And state parties in the Moon Agreement includes astronauts, international, intergovernmental, or non-governmental organizations, national organizations, or non-governmental entities, or any natural person as delivered in Article 10, Paragraph 1, Article 11, Paragraph 3, Article 14, Paragraph 1, and related treaties such as Liability Convention, especially in Article 14, Paragraph 2. Then Article 9. Article 9 contains station establishment and installation. That area in this provision, as you can see, we shall not establish or install a station without exploration and use reasons, such as claiming a jurisdiction. So the scope is under the needs of the station. Another I highlight here is such a manner. I found some local jurists questioning this. It is the same way with mean or how we do the installation of a station. And Article 1 Aerospace Treaty, as you can see, this paragraph 2 mentions about Article 1 Aerospace Treaty. It covers about non-discrimination, equality, and accordance with international law. This is one example that reading just one provision or just one entire agreement is not enough. If you want to understand a provision, you might need to study other related treaties. And Article 10, I underline this so we can know why state parties shall guarantee astronaut safety, including those who are not our nationalities. Based on Article 5 Aerospace Treaty, the astronaut is an envoy of humans in outer space or a representative of human in outer space. And Article 10 in this agreement is a reaffirmation of the rescue agreement. And after that, you can see this modal verb, shall. Shall in our daily conversation refers to suggestion. However, this agreement stands for requirements and duties. In international space law, the word must only can be found in soft law, like declaration or principle. Another close function with shall, it should. And should is for duties or functions attached to the position, like in this agreement you can find in the Secretary General function, but not in this article. All right, so Article 11. Article 11 is very interesting to me. As you can see, Article 11 covers the common habits of mankind and the international regime, which makes this agreement the only hard law instrument of space law that includes commercial use. The definition of the common habits of mankind itself is varied and still debatable, honestly. But I will say it as a combination of the province of all mankind, benefit and interest of all countries to present and future generations. So the first one, province of all mankind, talks about location, benefits, and interest of all countries, talks about needs. This based on Article 4, Paragraph 1, Moon Agreement, and Article 1, Paragraph 1 of the Outer Space Treaty. Then exploration, you can see here in Paragraph 4. Exploration is for research activities or purposes, and use is for general activities. And then exploitation is for exclusive utilization of the moon's natural resources for economic and commercial purposes. Well, how do I know? Exploration and use are connected to economic or scientific development in Article 1, Paragraph 1, Outer Space Treaty, and exploitation, you can find the repetition in consideration of this agreement in addition to this provision. Still in Article 11, moving on, the international regime in this provision, according to its purposes, encompasses agreement, practice, and institution or body. So this is also relevant to Miller's theory in Theories of International Regimes book. And then we can talk about the second legalist, and means that all elements must be met. So in this case, we can say state parties follow Article 11, Paragraph 6, if they inform their discovery to the Secretary General, the public, and the international scientific community. However, if one of them is not informed, the state parties do not fulfill this provision. Then, let's talk about or. Or is for alternatives or options between elements. So if a state party gives special consideration who contribute directly to the exploration only, that state party already fulfilled this provision. All right, so Article 12. Article 12 stipulates on jurisdiction and control of personnel and space object use, as well as assistance in emergency conditions. Well, everything looks good, but let's talk about jurisdictions. Jurisdiction might have diverse meanings in legalese, such as the power of a court or authority to decide a legal case or territory. Well, in this agreement, jurisdiction stands for activities of personal and space objects, as you can find here. We cannot say territory because the moon is not subject of national appropriation. The only subject to national appropriation is in this provision is our astronaut and state parties' properties. This provision addresses the unintended landing of a space object that does not belong to a state party who notices this incident, and it can belong to another state party or even a non-state party. I just want to reaffirm here that this provision is only applicable to the moon activities or incidents. So If there is a space vehicle crash landing on the surface of Earth, you can go to the previous treaties, not this agreement, like rescue agreement, liability convention, and other space treaties, especially in Article 5. Next, Article 14 talks about international responsibility and liability. International responsibility indicates preventive and repressive actions that do not require compensation, such as in this paragraph that state parties shall assure national activities are carried out in conformity. After that, liability. Liability is a repressive action of a damage followed by compensation for the restoration of a condition. You can find these differences in Articles 6 and 7 Space Treaty and Principles 7 and 8 of the Nuclear Use Principles. And for the liability followed by compensation, you can learn in Article 11 Liability Convention. And about regarding damage, as it says that it is related to the Liability Convention, damage in Article 1, Clause A of the Convention means loss of life, personal injury, or other impairment of health or loss of damage to property of states or of persons, natural or juridical, or property of international intergovernmental organizations. So is anything impact that caused damage to your property or injury to a person, we can call it as you can sue a state party for liability, for their liability. All right, just a little bit of closing statement. Legalese in your country and mine, or international scope, or a distinct law field, or a different legal product might have different meanings and interpretation, even it seems the same word or have similar nomenclature. So make sure you explore related provisions within or outside of a legal document before you conclude the meaning. And oh yeah, about these references, a little bit information also. I prefer to use treaties from the United Nations Treaties Collections version because you can find detailed and updated information, including who the state parties are with the date of their consent to be bound in one sources. Thank you, and back to Shada.